Very significant day. The Reserve Bank has cut rates for the first time since March this year, and it's the first Melbourne Cup interest rate cut since 2011. But it wasn't just cutting the cash rate that the bank did today. The board also announced a suite of measures to help stimulate the economy. And I'm joined here with Joe Masters from EY. Joe, what exactly has the RBA done today? Is it enough to help the economy get back on track?
So it's enough to have a positive impact on the economy, but it's not enough on its own to support recovery. We'll need ongoing fiscal support, but we have seen every lever pulled by the RBA. So 3 lots of interest rate reductions, plus also that quantitative easing and changes to the exchange settlement balance.
Yes, the reduction in the interest rate on exchange settlement balances to zero. What does that actually mean?
So that's really important. It's a rate that we don't typically focus on, but that is, of course, means that we could see negative wholesale rates in the economy. Not retail rates, not for mums and dads or households, but wholesale rates are possible.
The Reserve Bank has talked about the Australian dollar being a little bit too high. It's around 70 US cents at the moment. Will these measures help bring down the value of the dollar?
Absolutely, and we've already seen that in anticipation of this monetary easing, and that's important for supporting the export part of the economy. What's important there is it's not just what the RBA does, of course, it's what other central banks do. And the easing that we've seen today does mean that we'll have easier stance on monetary policy than the Bank of Canada or the Reserve Bank of New Zealand.
The Reserve Bank's also increasing the amount of government bonds it is buying. How will that help the economy improve?
So they're absolutely doing that, and they're doing that further along the yield curve. So that will bring down interest rates between 5 and 10 years. Now that can lower interest rates for households and businesses that lend in the fixed part of the market. But really importantly, it reduces the cost of borrowing for governments and also makes it easier for them to issue debt into the market.
Today, the stock market has risen almost 2% in anticipation of this interest rate cut decision. Why do you think the market's been so strong today?
So we know that when we lower interest rates, it boosts asset prices. We've seen that in the housing market and in the equity market. Today's announcement confirms that interest rates are going to remain low for many, many years, and that those that want to borrow can access credit if they want to.
On Friday, the Reserve Bank releases its statement on monetary policy, basically its economic forecasts. Are you expecting it to say the Australian economy has lifted itself out of recession in the September quarter?
So I don't think the Reserve Bank will use those words, but we've seen in today's statement that they expect the September quarter to have positive growth after 2 negative quarters of growth. So technically, that means that the recession is behind you. The reality is, though, that people feel recession through jobs, not through GDP data, and the Reserve Bank is still expecting the unemployment to rise, to peak a little below 8%. So we're still in recessionary conditions, in my view.
Yes, what is the economic outlook looking like for 2021?
So we still have plenty of challenges ahead, even though the economy is doing a little bit better than we thought. We're easing restrictions and that's helping economic activity, but we still have to face into that tapering of government support, and that is no mean feat. So I wouldn't be surprised if 2021 perhaps disappoints on growth.
If infection rates keep getting lower and borders around Australia continue to reopen, surely that is a really good thing for our local economy and business.
Absolutely. So we've already seen outside of Victoria, 2 in 3 of the jobs that were lost through April are now back. So you do get a kicker, but what the payrolls data is showing us is that jobs losses are broadening and that some of the improving momentum in those states outside of Victoria is starting to plateau.
Joe, thanks very much for joining us. Kieran, I'm also hearing that the Reserve Bank may be doing a press conference at 4 o'clock. They did do a press conference in March when they cut cash rate previously, and it's looking like they may be doing one as well at 4 p.m. today, and that would be the government